Welcome to the TC Online presentation. Hope everyone's doing well, actually, in this crazy kind of time that we're living in. Just to say, give you a quick introduction. My name is David Hill. I'm president of Tutoring Club. Joining me today will be the vice president of Tutoring Club, Liam Powers. We're going to be showing you some of the cool new things that we've got here on this online platform we've designed. We know there's a lot of things going on in everybody's life, and so to take some time today, we really appreciate that. You are part of the TC family, and we really are a family. Just to give you a background, I started doing this about 17 years ago. One of my first students back in the day was this gentleman that's on with me right here, Liam Powers, when he was a little tyke, and now look at him, he's a grown man. We have Amanda from Bakersfield. Lori, actually, who you know from Brentwood, was one of the people that showed me how to do this whole business. So we are a very tight-knit group. We've had to deal with this whole situation too. And I'm very proud of our team. We've created something that has already been implemented now the last 2 weeks. And the students that are using it are having a lot of fun. As a parent, my daughter's in 5th grade, about to go to middle school. And so this has been a great platform for her to be able to talk to her tutors and engage with some of the other students, even though they can't be together in person. So what we're going to do today is show you what you've seen before, or what at least your kids, if they're on this, have seen before, is some of our Tutoring Club program. But more importantly, we are here to help you guys. All parents across the country have been thrust into becoming teachers. And while we love our children dearly, I like it when my daughter goes and works with one of the tutors. I adore her, but I'm dad, and you guys can probably relate as mom or dad, that trying to teach your own kid can have its disadvantages and challenges sometimes. So the great thing is your students are used to being with the tutors at TC. We wanted to kind of try to emulate the most we possibly could in the platform without having them physically come in. So we're going to show you how that works today. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Liam. Liam is our VP, as I said. More importantly, Liam is kind of the resident expert when it comes to high school and then university admissions. And we do have quite a decent amount of high schoolers on this call from what we can tell. It's a very crucial time for you all. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of updates with SATs and what have you. So Liam has been actually even hosting some Q&As on that. So we'll talk about that today a little bit, but we have a very diverse group from like 1st grade all the way to 11th grade on this call. So we're excited about that. So without further ado, Liam, I'll give you the floor and I'll get ready to be the student.
All right, sounds fun. Thanks so much. Thank you everybody first and foremost for joining us this morning. We know right now, I mean, obviously this is unprecedented time for everybody in this country. It's stressful as a parent, it's anxiety riddled probably. Whether you have a 3rd grader or you have an 11th grader who's in the prime of college admissions right now, irrespective of that, there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, what's going to happen to final grades? Are your kids going to go back to school at all before August? What about state tests? What about, for our older kids, SATs, ACTs, AP tests? So there's a lot up in the air. And I think our goal right now is to try to bring a little bit of calm, if that is possible, to you. We're going to remain as informed as humanly possible. We're going to be sending out a lot of newsletters probably from your local tutoring club to make sure that you're in the know about what's going on with your school district and what's going on nationally, just with education in general. Some of your schools are closed right now for a duration of 4, 5, 6 weeks. Some have made the decision to close for the school year. Some have provided your student with assignments, big packets that they expect them to complete. Some of those packets are going to be graded. Some are not. Some are optional. So I know a lot of your students will probably look at them and say, why should I do them? Our goal right now is to try to, one, bring a semblance of normalcy to your life again. Your students had a routine when they were probably a month ago and before coming to Tutoring Club, going to school, going to soccer practice after. There are things that have now been interrupted in their pattern that, you know, have affected them, of course, on a grander scale, but also specifically academically. So what we want to do is reintroduce your students. So if your students had been going to Brentwood, they're going to be tutoring with the same tutors from Brentwood. If they had been going to the Escondido location, same thing. So we'd like to really bring back that normalcy. They're going to see the same tutors on here. They're going to hear the same tutors. And that's going to go a really, really long way. So right now, what we want to do, rather than bore you with just a diatribe here, is show you 2 parts of this. Part number 1, your student is going to log in. They are going to see their tutor and hear their tutor. Part 2, your student is going to have a personal classroom. So what we'll be showing you now is the personal classroom. We're going to go ahead and do a screen share, and you'll see hypothetically how a tutor and a student might interact. But unfortunately, David and my acting skills are not that great. We'll do our best, but you can imagine. So let's see here. We're going to open up All right, let's go ahead. David, do you want to do fractions? Do you want to do a different worksheet? What are we thinking here?
Yeah, we can look at the fractions. I may have some problems, but I'll do my best.
So what would happen, we would pick up with where your student left off in the math program. So again, we have our own math reading, writing curriculum. If your student, especially is in elementary school, they are probably engaging with this curriculum right here. What we would do is find where they left off the last time they visited us, pick up right there. This isn't going to be generic. It's still going to be the same customized material we've been reviewing with them in the past. And what we would do is hypothetically, we'd scroll down. I'd give an introduction about how to attack these problems if I were a good math tutor, which I am not. And David, maybe I'd say, hey, let's try number 4 together, for example. I'll put you on the spot here. Let's see what you can do.
Number 4. Uh-oh.
So you spend a quarter of your family road trip driving and a third of the trip sightseeing. How much more time are you sightseeing than driving? You can tell I actually did put him on the spot here.
I need help, tutor.
All right, no problem. So, for example, David, you would want to, you see how there's a different denominator, 1/4, 1/3. We want to make those common denominators. So how do we make 1/4 and 1/3 have a common denominator?
We would find the common factor and then go ahead and make them both fourths.
Yes.
Or on this one, we'd make it eighths.
On this, yeah, or you could even make it 12. We'd multiply 1/4 by 3. You get 3/12. You get 1/3. You'd multiply by 4, 4/12. And you could do 4/12 minus 3/12. Your answer would be 1/12. So what's cool for everybody watching, and again, that was kind of funny. I wanted to fool David a little bit here.
Thanks,
we would actually be able to mark, and hopefully you can read my relatively unclean handwriting here. But we would be able to actually write out those answers in the boxes here. So in live time, I'm doing this, David is seeing this. If David, the student, was attempting a problem, myself as the tutor would be able to see it. So it's really cool that this is live time and you can collaborate together.
You also have the ability on all worksheets. This is obviously a Tutoring Club curriculum worksheet, but we have a lot of our students that are uploading different things you're receiving from school. With the technology that's on this platform, your students can use tablets with, if they have like a stylus that they use. If they ever, my daughter loves to draw, so she always is drawing on different tablets. If you have students that are used to that, they can use that. If you can use Chromebooks. For just audio, you can use a phone. So there's a lot of ways to interact with this, but it does allow for a lot of interactivity and what have you. There's other features on this platform. So drawing shapes, I'll show you really quick, if it lets me here. You can do like circles, you can do squares for our high school group that are doing a lot of graphing for Algebra 2 and so forth. There's a graph paper feature on this, which is pretty awesome. It allows you to like draw lines, draw squares, circles, find circumference, a lot of different things like that. There's even mathematical equation stuff that you can put on here. And last but not least, there's a text feature. So if you want to just write out answers or have questions or want to write out some things, you're able to use that as well.
So you can see right here, I wrote a little note to David. David, let's focus on greatest common factors. So there's a lot, of course, that you can interact with your tutor on here, whether it is in the typing format or the stencil or drawing tool. But most importantly is going to be just as in person, your tutor and your student are going to be able to connect in this sense. So all that's really separating us, of course, is a screen. But fortunately or unfortunately, your student probably has become accustomed to that with technology being so pervasive and almost everybody having phones at a younger and younger age. This is really normal for your student. For a lot of us, it's not as normal to communicate and have a really social experience through these screens, but for your student, not so much. It's pretty standard practice for them. So we think what's great is they're gonna log in and be able to interact and have some semblance, again, of that normalcy, and most importantly, engage with their schoolwork again. Because a lot of their classmates are probably playing far too many video games and taking time away from academics, where your student can now really gain that leg up for the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, and or even just making sure they're prepared for the next grade level in August. So let's say though, your student is not working on our math program, our reading program, or our writing program. They normally come in with their schoolwork. As we said, maybe they've been assigned something from their school loop. There are areas or however they usually log in and interact with their school, and or they're in an Algebra 2 class and they need to master those skills, whether it's for later this year or next year. We can have them upload documents. So you'll see here, you'll just click documents. So if your student has anything they want the tutor to focus on with them, they'll go ahead and just click choose file. So this is just like attaching an email or attaching a file to an email. And then they would click on the document they'd like the tutor to work on with them. And after about 2 seconds, it'll appear right here. So David, we're going to be doing chemistry. It looks like you uploaded here yet.
Looks like it.
Which aspects do you think you need help with here?
Just some of the conversions, having a hard time with some of the reactions and making sure I line everything up with the math part.
All right, cool. Well, let's look at this compound right here. Do you know what the name of this one is?
Magnesium oxyhydrate something.
Yeah, that works for me because I'm not a great chemistry tutor. Good thing we have great chemistry tutors. So, they would be able to master this skill with your high schooler doing chemistry, for example. But again, all we wanted to show you here is this is something that David uploaded. This is not Tutoring Club curriculum. This is literally just a worksheet his hypothetical teacher had given him.
Right. And what's great about this, so just to kind of reemphasize, this is a personal classroom that each of your students will have. So it's always here. It's something that's unique to just them. If they have a worksheet like for chem, if you guys wanted to start working on it before you came into a session, you can upload it on here, start actually trying to solve some of the problems, do what you want to do. Then the tutor comes into the session, you can discuss things. And you can see Liam just typed again in there. You can leave notes for each other. So it's always available for your students 24/7. So they can do things on here, work on worksheets, upload different materials. It just creates a lot of interactivity that frankly will give them the ability to do even more stuff even when they're not in a TC session.
The other thing that we do want to point out is whether your student is in 3rd grade or if they are in 11th grade, it's likely that they've been assigned some form of writing by their teachers. See, teachers right now would love to give your student tests, but it's open note, open book, open Google right now, and there's no time limits. There's no way for a teacher to make sure that your student is really abiding by the rules of a test. So what they'll do instead is likely say, I'd like you to write a paragraph about this. I'd like you to write an essay about this. So if your student has an essay assigned, which we speculate that they have, or they certainly will, we have this cool thing called an Etherpad here. This Etherpad is a lot like Google Docs. So a lot of the kids on here have engaged with Google Docs, where I, as the tutor, can make notes and they'll be highlighted in one color. David, as the student, can make notes. And again, in live time, you'll see right here, he's saying, can you help me? What would you like help with, sir? Make a stronger conclusion. Yes, let's get after it. So just in general, of course, your student can leave notes in here. They can take any rough draft they have if they've been working on their home computer or just using like the notepad on their phone to start an essay. They can copy and paste it into here. So that way when the tutor logs in, they can say, hey, Caitlin, tutor, I really need help with this essay. I'm thinking that I need help with this second paragraph. Let's just get into it. So there's no real lag time. When your student had gone to school all day and come in after baseball or softball practice at 6 o'clock, oftentimes they're scrambling to dig through their backpack and say, I don't know what I have. But with this personal classroom, as David pointed out, it is your students and your students only. They have 24/7 access to it. So your student, can upload essays, can upload their homework, and can even work on some of the stuff after the tutoring session is over because everything will be saved on here.
And what's great, I think, in general is just that back and forth when it comes to writing. This is probably the thing that is most challenging, I would say universally for most of our students. If there's one skill that everybody could use a little bit of help on, it would be writing. This gives us the ability to leave notes, have them kind of go back and forth, come back from a previous session, see what can improve. And it gives us some of the ability we don't normally have when the kids go home, when they come into a regular session. They will be able to still kind of look at this and see things.
So again, this is an outline of basically the tools that your student will have access to. Probably the most important part is just going to be that connection piece, what we really thrive on when we have your students come into the center. And that'll be the video audio component of this. But for your student to be able to effectively be doing scratch paper work with a tutor, just as we would in person, where we'd work on the same page, we can do that through this online platform. So I'm going to transition out of this. We're going to stop the screen share and resume the video chat. Again, if you do have questions, please direct them to the chat feature at the bottom here. But we have spoken with a lot of families so far of Tutoring Club, so we probably know a few things you're going to ask. David, do you want to talk about scheduling?
Sure. So I know it's been a few weeks that students have been off school. We normally, you guys have regular schedules like Tuesday at 5:30, Thursdays 4:30. We're not going to hold you to the exact same schedule. So we know things have changed. Everyone's home a bit, obviously a lot more than usual. We will have the regular afternoon sessions that you're typically used to. Each school district is a little unique. Some are a little bit further ahead in the game as far as having their standard online learning. Some are still just learning how to do that themselves. We do have the availability most likely of some morning sessions, assuming that it does not conflict with your particular district. So we're kind of, that's fluid right now because we're still waiting for certain districts to figure out how they're going to do things. But your directors, who you probably see on the screens here, they will reach out. They will schedule some stuff that works for you guys. Sessions will still be that hour increment, although right now some of the students that have already jumped on this are doing 2 hours a lot of the times. The best way to kind of look at things right now, we've been thrust into sort of a summer situation where those of you who've been with us for a bit and come in the summer are used to knowing that a lot of times students will come for 2 hours. We are in a strong position considering everything going on that we're used to this. We spend 3 months during the summer driving the whole ship. And so we have all the curriculum to make sure we can supplement things for your students. Even if they're not getting a lot from school, it's imperative that we work their skills and make sure they're ready for the subsequent year that's coming up.
I think ultimately, to echo that sentiment, the schools aren't going to change standards. So if you have a 10th grader, the 11th grade standards are the same. If you have a third grader, the fourth grade standards are the same. So the expectation of where your student is going to be in August is going to remain. And unfortunately for every student in this group, and I feel very badly for the students right now who are in elementary, middle, or high school, you've been robbed of a really critical, so far, 4, 5, or 6 weeks, and possibly 2 or 3 months of your academic term. Everything comes together in the spring. So everything that you've been building up in the fall and the winter and the early part of 2020, it's supposed to all culminate right now. And you have those aha moments that you actually understood algebra, or you understood this social studies whole chapter of American history. But unfortunately, that's really been interrupted at this point. So use this time to your advantage. Use this time to sharpen your skills. We refer to something as the summer slide in education, where if your student takes the whole summer off, whether that's 8 or 10 weeks, or I know in Brentwood, we have a unique kind of year-round school system, but an extended period of time, they lose a certain amount of the knowledge they've gained from the previous year. Now, that summer slide effect is going to probably double in magnitude because the summer may virtually be twice as long at this point. And even for, Brentwood, where you have 2 weeks or 3 weeks out at a time, or even a month, that might turn into 6 or 7 weeks. So really this time, it is like summer. David and I usually talk about this, saying sometimes we wish we could pause the school year and just focus on skills. But unfortunately, it's happened under these circumstances. Regardless, it has happened. Your student's not in school 6 hours a day. They don't have sports or drama club practice 2 hours after that. So there's a lot more opportunity throughout the day that we can work with them on actually just sharpening and refining their skills and making them feel a little more confident. Nothing's come through in questions yet.
See, we're getting better at being able to answer all of them before.
I guess, or we've lulled everybody to sleep. One of the two.
One of the two. No, I think one other thing, just to kind of piggyback. I've done this for a really long time. This is kind of the passion of my life. I've done it 17 years, Orange County. I've spent some time in Bakersfield. Like I said, Lori was with me back in the beginning. This is such a critical time. And I know all of us are trying to get a hold of our lives and what have you, but please don't completely depend on the schools. They mean really well, but they are overwhelmed themselves. And they are trying to do whatever to get through this. As a parent, take advantage of the fact that you have access to your child. You can have them work with us. You already have taken that opportunity in the past to do it. Use this time right now. Don't wait for them to give more work, or don't wait for them to figure out what's going on, because I promise you, like Liam already said, they're not going to change this nationwide. We are still going to have the same requirements. We can't pause an entire generation of kids for the next 5 or 10 years. So please try to do this now so we can help them and get them ready for next year.
We did have a question come through. Will our local directors be contacting us for scheduling? Yes. And actually a second one, here we go. My question is regarding scheduling. Perfect, thank you. So yes, after this call concludes, your director, whether it's Lori or Amanda or anybody else, are going to be reaching out to you because they know you've attended this. And they'll first and foremost say, hey, do you have any questions? But also, when are the most ideal days and times that you'd like to get set up? We've been doing this a little more than a week at this point, so we're ready to go and set up your sessions effective Monday if you'd like to start as soon as that. or frankly tomorrow, hypothetically, but maybe take Sunday to relax. But we'll pick out the days and times with you that work for your schedule. We'll coordinate the tutors. And your first session is very important. You're probably wondering, well, how do I access this classroom? How do I get onto these chats? What will happen is once you've set up that first session, you'll get an email the same day, usually in the morning. And that email is going to say, "Dear Jonathan, thank you so much for setting up your session at 11:30 this morning with Caitlin. Here is the link for you to log into the video chat. Here is a separate link to log into your personal classroom." And all they have to do is click those two links on a computer or a tablet. Frankly, you can do it on a phone, although it's kind of small and your student will probably be squinting. So try to use something with a larger screen if you can, and that'll take them where they need to go. Bookmark, if you can, or otherwise keep track of your student's personal classroom the first time they get that link, because it will never change. And if you write it down, if you have it bookmarked, you'll be able to go in there even when you don't have your sessions to work on some stuff and make sure you're prepared for your sessions.
Oh, one thing, Liam, for one thing that's come up a lot, I just remember right now, hours. You guys have hours with us, so it works the same. So don't worry about that. It'll be the same kind of thing. We just have you use your sessions like you normally do. Another thing too, and we talk about this a lot in the summer, but I'll bring it up now. If you have another child that normally does not come in because they do really well in school or they're super advanced, everyone needs this right now. I highly recommend, if you have hours for your family has hours, even though maybe one child uses them, you are able to use them for siblings and what have you. So please, if you can, as a parent, try to have them come in too, so we can stay on top of every student at this point.
I will say one thing. I believe we have 3 or 4 11th graders on this call, or parents of 11th graders. For you, you're at a super critical juncture. So we did a Q&A. Maybe you joined over this past week. Maybe you didn't. If you did not join our Q&A and you have an 11th grader, whether they're our student currently who comes to us, or like David's saying, another student in your family who's an 11th grader, ask your local center director for the link to that Q&A. Really important. It's about 40 minutes. Sorry, it's kind of long, but it addresses everything related to what's going to happen with college admissions, just to make sure, because you have a really narrow 3-4 month window in front of you where things are going to change a lot, that you're informed. And of course, as you have questions throughout this process, we are here for you. Your directors, I mean, Lori's been doing this a whole heck of a long time, for example. She will be able to answer almost any question you have. If it's super technical in nature, or it's pertaining to a specific school that your student's applying to or something, she'll refer it to us. We'll get you an answer. But please lean on us as a resource during this time, because there's a lot of stuff floating around out there about, oh, the teachers will self-correct every student when we get back to school next year, and everything's going to be just fine if we do nothing right now. And we don't want you to be complacent. We want you to have a leg up when school resumes. No other questions quite yet. We'll wait maybe 1 to 2 more minutes. We know your time's precious, so we don't want to waste your whole morning here. But if you do have another question, please type it in here.
I guess if we don't hear it, the last thing I'd say is, we know this is kind of family, everyone's dealing with this, families, friends, all of it. We keep seeing stuff on Instagram and Facebook about jokes about homeschooling our kids all of a sudden and trying to teach Common Core. We're here to help. So for those of you who have friends or family who are stressed out about this as well, please feel free to let your directors know. We're doing presentations like this. Both Amanda and Lori, who I'm looking at right now, they are very well versed in helping navigate this. And as you guys know, as clients, we customize everything. We try to figure out what makes the most sense for each individual child. So we feel very well served to be able to handle this, obviously under some weird circumstances, but we're here to help the entire communities that we normally work with.
Nothing else has rolled through. So with that said, if you're anything like me, I watch presentations and stuff and I have questions 3 hours later. If you are like that, text your center director. They'll get you an answer. Oh, cool. We do have one question, which I'll review really quickly. It says, how do I upload a document onto the shared screen? So I'll do a quick screen share with you. This will take about 30 seconds. We'll go ahead and go back to our personal classroom. What you'll do first is you click this Documents tab here at the bottom. It's really key. From there, you'll click Choose File here in the bottom right. And then you can pick anything from your computer. Let's say this file is what I want to upload, an ACT worksheet. So I'll go ahead and click that. Now it's appeared in my document bank here. And once I click on that, it will upload the image so that tutor and student can begin working on that worksheet. So again, really key, that Documents tab in the bottom corner. And then all of your worksheets that you've uploaded on a given day, they'll be sitting here Regardless, you can always choose a new file from your computer.
Good question, though.
Very. And by the way, this kind of leads to last point. There will be a bit of troubleshooting with this inevitably. So your first few minutes with a tutor on your first session, they're going to get you acclimated to everything. And if you don't know how to upload something or don't know how to use that tool to draw a fraction, they're going to show you. We'll spend the first few minutes getting you comfortable with things. From there, it's like riding a bike at that point. You'll be really comfortable with this. I'm confident all these kids who were technically born after the year 2000, they know how to engage with technology like this better than we do.
They'll be much better than us.
So I guess with that said, we'll go ahead and log off here for now. Your directors are going to be reaching out to you. Most importantly, spend some time with your family today. Try to relax amidst a very uncertain world right now, and let's bring back kind of a semblance of normalcy to your students' lives, and hopefully yours.
Thank you all for taking some time. We're happy to see you guys soon. Thank you.
Take care.